evening, everyone. Welcome to the Londonderry View. We are continuing with our interviews of the candidates. Tonight we are starting off with John Curran, who's running for library trustees.
That's correct.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
View. Glad to have you.
Yep.
So I'm running for re-election. This will be hopefully my third term on library trustees. I'm a big proponent of the library. I spend probably more time at the library than I should, according to my wife and kids. But it's a good body of citizens that serve as trustees, and I think we work well as a team, and so that's my interest in remaining on the board.
Very nice.
It's funny that our library, very close and near and dear to my heart, but when my children were little, that was the place where some of my closest friendships were formed, because the playroom and Barbara and the crew, and it's they've really done wonderful things, and now the adult programs that I love, and so it's a wonderful place to serve, John.
Oh, absolutely. When I moved to town in 1991 and built our home and got married in 1993. So I remember going to the library when it was just where the children's room is now, and the children's room was actually in the basement. Then when my kids got into preschool, we'd do all the story time and the events at the library, and it brought it back to me because marching in the parade this year, the Old Home Days, all the kids waving at the librarians, and we love the library.
That was a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
Our hat goes off to Barbara and the whole staff, everyone over there, Sally, because that was powerful to see our library, our staff out there.
It's a lot of fun.
That was a great thing.
It's a lot of fun, but it's been nice to see the library grow both physically and in terms of attendance. I mean, there's not many times you're there that it's not fully engaged. I mean, on both the adult and the children's side, and the programs that they put on downstairs.
And people of all ages.
Absolutely.
Like in adults, it can be young adults to our seniors.
Yep.
It's very impressive to see.
And the computers are always in full use, and you see tutors there.
Really?
Almost any night that I'm there, there's a tutor working with students, and always, children in the kids' room. I mean, it's really nice to see. I think it really kind of epitomizes the community that's Londonderry. So.
Very nice.
I'm guilty of not going to the library. Well, I don't live here, so. But I run in and I'll drop off newsletters from the senior center, and then I run back out. But I've never bothered to peruse the library.
I'm on probably 9 or 10 different commissions, committees, and boards, and this is probably my favorite because I'm so passionate about libraries. I mean, I grew up in Massachusetts, but my dad and I spent a lot of time at the library, so I'm invariably reading 3 different books at a time, and so I'm always at the library dropping off and picking up, but and I've gotten to know the staff from serving on the trustees, and we are really blessed with a fantastic staff, and one of the things that I'm reminded of is I went in there one night actually I can't remember if it was to pick up a book that I had on reserve or if it was to drop off a book that I had due, but I was there during the flooding that took place recently.
Yes.
The staff stayed till late in the evening. They had immediately acted, pulled books and materials and took them to safety, and I think the number of books lost was very minor. 20 books maybe and 2 tables. So I mean that was an amazing effort and a tribute to the staff that they're so passionate about what they do.
I only know Barbara, and she's definitely passionate about that library.
I remember before I was even on library trustees, I was in there one night and I said something to Sally, and I said, I have this relative who is this artist and my mother's cousin or something, and I said she illustrated a children's book. And I described the book. I didn't know the title. I didn't know the author. She had done the illustration. And by the time I left, within the hour, she gave me the title, the author, and where she could get it,
Oh, wow.
so I could see it.
She really researched it.
It's
Wow.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, and the number of, every month we talk about the statistics, and we have a budget analysis every month at our meetings. And she talks about the number of research or contacts we've had with people looking to do inquiries through the research desk. And so it really is, they continue to astound me with their, and I had a cousin who was a hero of mine growing up. He was a decorated Vietnam veteran. And he passed away a few years ago. I was down visiting his wife, and she said, "You must have read the book," because I'm a big military history buff. And I said, what book? And she said, he was named in this book. There was a journalist who embedded with a group back in Vietnam. And I went to the library, and Sally had it within days. And of course, it turned out to be a 900-page book, and I read it between the time that she got it and he passed away. But I was able to go to the funeral. I said to his wife, I said, I read the book. So, when the library goes the extra mile, it's kind of like being in a Disney World. You feel like that little extra touch.
Right.
You're right.
But I'm kind of jaded, I think, but I really think the library is really well run. I mean,
Exceptional.
I've said to Barbara before, we turn money back to the town each year. We continue to grow the collection. All the things that we're doing, electronic books and different mediums. I mean, it's really a testament to them keeping up with library science.
Right.
That's very good.
So, John, what exactly does a library trustee do?
I was just thinking the same
Because
thing.
I really don't know
I
what
don't either.
what
Yes.
So
the job
I think-
requirement.
How many
Yeah.
people are there on their board and all?
Let me see. There's a president and secretary, and then there are 5 members.
5 members,
So
okay.
I think of it analogy-wise as a board of
Board of
directors.
directors.
Thank you, board of
Oh,
directors.
okay.
And interestingly enough, a good friend of mine is used to be the expert until he became the Belknap County attorney, but he was an expert in library law. A lot of people don't know that the library is actually its own governmental entity under New Hampshire statutes. It's separate and apart, and that's going back all the way to Ben Franklin, the belief that the library has to be independent so that voters are educated, so that people expand their education. It says right in the preamble to the RSA, which I think is 202A, says that the education of our citizenry should expand beyond school, and that is an instrumental thing to have the library for. So the library is set up separately, and it has its own set of regulations and laws. I mean, unlike the police can walk into a hotel in town and say, I want to see your register if they believe somebody might be doing something remiss in town, you don't have the same thing at the library. The library, your records are confidential. What you read at the library is confidential under New Hampshire law.
That's
Wow.
fascinating.
And so while the town can budget and say that this is the appropriation for the library, the library operates as its own government entity. It's a separate branch or a separate government entity that exists under state law and under the cases that are interpreted. So
Isn't that
it's kind of an interesting thing for me. I'm practicing lawyers, so that it's kind of a funny thing. But we're subject to all the same laws that any governmental entity is. 91A, the right to know. If the citizenry has a right to know, what do you spend the money on? What are the what is the selection process for the library? And if you go to the library, I spend a lot of time looking at the new books when they come in, especially the history books. It's interesting to see that the library is not one side or the other in terms of, say, political books. You'll see Republican, you'll see Democrat, you'll see Independent, you'll see the full spectrum. And that's important. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, it
so
should
that
be
you have
that way.
access to
Right,
that.
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
So the library, serves as a board. The trustees serve as a board of directors. So we oversee the library staff, and we make decisions on merit raises. We make decisions on expenditures. If there's capital improvement, we'll have discussion and debate over that. So we meet once a month, and we run a pretty efficient meeting. Most meetings are done within an hour, and we review the status of the budget at every meeting. We get a snapshot of where the budget stands every month. I will put one caveat. I think in July and August we take a reprieve, but for the most part we're meeting once a month, and that is also statutory. So the composition of the board, how the library operates, those are all things that are dictated by statute.
Very good.
Now I know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's very,
All going back to Ben Franklin. Absolutely.
Isn't that,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a great
something.
education.
That's
You
my
don't
history
think
degree
of
being
it.
put to
love
work.
that.
Yes.
That's really good, you know?
Yeah.
When you bring those names of the past and the influence they had back then that we still embrace today.
Right.
Yeah.
Love, that's wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you. Boy.
Well, and it's humbling serving the town. I mean, to go out and I'm a firm believer in giving back to the community. And so when I got involved in town affairs, running for a position, it's a little disconcerting asking people for the vote.
It's hard.
But honestly, if I applaud anybody who puts their hat in the ring, and it's important that people give back. I think it might have been your husband who said that It was somebody on town council, and I swear it was your
Yes.
husband that said that, 10% of the people in the town do 90% of the work,
Yes,
and I think that's
Yeah.
true. So,
Very true.
I think
Yeah, I
getting
think
more
John-
people
yeah.
engaged and involved is
Right.
good.
At
And
all levels.
we always
and
like
all-
to see people at our meetings. We do have,
Yeah.
we don't have the same turnout for meetings at the library, but we like to see when people come and get engaged and ask questions and make sure that we're doing our job. It's
And they're
important.
public. I've never thought
Right.
of that. I should have attended a meeting by now. Because you do learn so much. Like
Yeah.
having you with us here tonight and being at the meeting, that's another good to know for everyone out there that we
Yeah.
can. It's a public forum.
Absolutely,
and
it's
Yeah.
posted.
Yes, it
91A
is.
says it
That's
has to be
right,
posted.
yes.
Yeah.
So, and the minutes are
Yes.
available. And just like anything in town, everything's on file at the library. So whatever committee or commission or
Right.
meeting, it's at the library. I had an Uncle Eddie who I was amazed when I was a kid. He could do anything. I mean, just jack of all trades. And he said, you can learn anything at the library. And you get how to do books out of the library all the time. So
Yeah.
it's really
Well,
is.
now we go to YouTube.
And YouTube. Those are my home repair videos when I was redoing the bathroom.
My kids, when they're working on their cars, the boys, they'd be outside and they'd have the iPad on and
Yeah.
YouTube.
It is. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
Even a recipe now.
Yeah.
It's like.
And
Yeah.
you see a lot of people at the library looking at YouTube or videos with the
Yes, right.
headphones on,
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and using the internet to do research, and a lot of, students down there doing their
I love
homework
seeing the
online.
students that walk over from the schools
Right.
because our library is so warm and inviting for all ages. And you'll see them, and the tutors.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's really pretty neat
And,
to
and,
see.
they're there even while the repairs are finishing up, so which
Oh.
is great. I mean, they're on budget. They're on target for the repairs. I mean, it's just one of the crazy things of living in New England. You get a frozen pipe and it burst, and it could have been a lot worse. And knock
Yeah.
on wood, the repairs are going well, and it's going to look great when it's done. So we're
Very
pleased about that.
Very
I'm sure
good.
Barbara is as well.
Oh yes, she is. Yeah, it's her baby. So.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sure
Yeah,
is.
and she's a pleasure to work for. That's one of the things is, as I said, I think we have a good team there, and that's another reason for me to stay engaged on the board. If I get the vote, is to work with people I respect and that I think do a very good job.
You have a
So,
very great understanding
And how long
of
is
it
the
all, too.
term on there?
3 years.
It's 3 years.
Yeah. So and it rotates, so you have some continuity. So there are 3 open positions. I think there are 5 of us
Yes.
running.
Yeah.
Bob Collins, also an incumbent. Unfortunately, I don't think Pauline Karen is running. She's very ill.
No, she is
and
very ill.
Great
she's
service to our community.
unbelievable. She also does the Friends of the Library, where they raise money and they do bake sales and whatnot for library resources and donate money. A lot of the meetings, if you came, you'd notice we do donations, and under the law, we have to approve the donations. We can't just, do
Right.
that. We have to have a vote and make sure that we're getting appropriate donations, and we're doing it formally. But at least once every time we meet, we're getting a donation. Somebody, even just writing a small check, they want to
That's
donate a
something.
book in a
Yeah.
loved one's name or something, and it's heartwarming.
Yeah,
and,
that's nice.
and we try to make it special for them. They'll come in and do photographs with the staff and present the book, or
Yeah.
a subscription, a subscription in the front,
Right.
dedicating it. So it means a lot to them. So it means a lot to us.
Yeah, very nice. That
Well,
is
I learned
good.
a lot tonight.
I
but-
really
Yeah,
did too.
Because I
actually.
never bothered
Thank
to.
We're
Yeah.
going to a meeting, girls.
Please come to the meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, we won't have the mugs that you have, but you could bring these. But
That could be a goal.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But would be happy to see you there. So
Thank you.
a lot going on at the library.
Well, that's good.
Okay,
Well,
so
we've got, let you kind of wrap it up
Okay.
now.
All right, just I guess by way of summation, my name is John Carn. I've been on the library trustees for 2 terms. I'm running for re-election, and I would respectfully ask for and appreciate your vote. I'd like to continue your service on the Board of Trustees as your library trustee. And if anybody has any questions about the library or about issues related to the library, feel free to reach me. All the contact information is on the town website. I firmly believe in the mission of the library. I think that it provides a valuable service to the kids in town as well as the adults. And I ask for your vote and look forward to continuing service if you'd give me your vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
coming on.
thank you.
Hi, everyone. We're back again, and we have our next candidate. It is Christine Patton, and she is running for the Advisory Budget Committee. So welcome, Christine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm glad to be here. It's exciting to run for a second term. I'm hoping to be elected in there again so I can learn more. A term is 3 years, but there's still so much to learn with all of the financial statuses on the schools and the towns. So
So you find it challenging?
yes, challenging and exciting. We have a very good team,
Good.
and I enjoy working with them a lot.
Now, how long have you been in the town?
I've been in the town since mid-2000,
Oh, okay.
so I would say 2005 or so,
Very nice.
roughly.
Yeah.
And how did you end up deciding to run for the budget committee? Very important committee in town, it really is. And
Your husband, actually.
my husband, John.
John recommended starting off with the budget committee because I wanted to get more involved with the town and give back. And he said the budget committee will get you in with both feet, and then from there it's a jumping board into something else. So I'm looking to maybe do town council next, which is a big
Absolutely.
leap.
Yeah.
But you have the experience.
But
You've
you have
embedded yourself.
experience.
You know, you
Yeah.
started, and budget committee requires a lot of learning. I mean, it really, unless you're
Yes.
naturally, part of that profession. And I have to applaud you because you really have dived right into it, asked great questions, gotten involved, and learned an awful lot. You really have.
I mean, I started learning how to do the budget process with large amounts of money with the parade, because I did the parade for 3 years.
Right, that's right.
So I had to keep everything in budget.
The old home day parade.
Yes,
Right.
the old home day parade. I kind of missed the challenge of that too. And now that I'm on the Londonderry Arts Council, I just started
Very good.
working with them. So that seems to be a fun group.
Good.
That
Are
is
you an
it.
artist?
A little bit more photography than anything else.
Oh,
And
Some
I don't
beautiful-
Photoshop my pictures. I might crop them, but I won't futz with the coloring or making them artistic.
They're beautiful, though. I have a couple in my office,
Yes, you
actually,
do.
which I really
yeah.
You'll
appreciate.
have to point them out
Oh.
next time I'm over.
They're beautiful. They get a lot of compliments, and it's nice that it's from a local photographer.
Yeah, you need to check out the owl pictures that I posted recently.
Oh my
Uh,
God!
My daughter loves owls. I mean, loves owls. She has a large owl tattooed on her arm.
She loves them that much.
Well, we got home from a weekend getaway, and there was a barred owl sitting on our deck.
Oh, you're kidding.
And I had my boots and coat still on. I'm yelling at my husband, "Don't come into the room. You'll scare it away."
Yeah.
And I slowly took a boot off and the coat, and I'm creeping across the kitchen floor. And every time it would look in, and I'd sit there and I'm holding my camera, I would just freeze. And then it would look away and I'd take another step. And eventually it just stared at me, and I'm like, "Can you look away? I can't move. I can't hold this pose any longer." But it flew off into the tree, a low branch, and I put on some garden shoes and went out in the snow so I could get my shots. But absolutely gorgeous.
You have an eye, though. You do.
Thank you.
And the patience, which I think is also important on the budget committee.
Yes.
Because it is. It's to me, it would seem like there's a lot of tedious work involved, and questions, and scrutinizing the numbers, and
the research.
Oh, can you explain? Because with the library, we just kind of went. So with the budget committee, they say it's advisory, right? But can you just kind of explain what happens in a meeting, what takes place, how you get to those points?
And
Where do you
Most
start?
exactly. Where do you start? I mean, I think our biggest bit of work that we do is deciding on how to take the charitable funds that we have and figure out which organization, nonprofit organization, receives. And we try and be as fair as possible. And I know in the last 2 years, we've been trying to implement a format where we have set questions. We expect anyone who come forward asking for any of the funds to fill out that questionnaire and be prepared. It answers a lot of questions, like why do you want this much? What is it going to? How much of it is going to overhead? How much of it is actually going to, especially Londonderry, to the citizens, to those that are in need? We did see this year a lot of increase in funds because of the opioid and the homelessness problems that the surrounding community is dealing with.
Right.
In regards to the other budgetary work, we advise the school board and the town a little bit of advice, on whether we approve or disapprove, or we might make some recommendations. And I know we had a difficulty with the school resource officer this past session, where we had one presentation, and the way this person presented it to us, it was just not responsible to vote yes on that warrant article. But then, and we had to make a vote that night. And then we started doing our research, and we changed our vote during the town deliberative
I
session.
remember that.
Very impressive, though.
Yeah.
Being able to change is important too, and
Yes.
gathering the facts, and absolutely.
So now, when someone like CART or community caregivers comes to the town for money, they have to approach the budget committee first?
They go to
Before-
the town, and there is a deadline to submit a request for funds. And then we set up appointments, and we have them present to us during the last 2 months. And then we go, and based on that, we go and figure out who
Should get how much?
exactly.
And
And in
then-
the past, it's always been, this group has always received this much, don't touch it. This year is the first time we've actually been able to take some of the organizations that get a lot of aid from the state or the federal, take a little bit from them and give it to the ones who aren't getting any aid at all from the state or the
Right.
federal.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
You know, so I was very pleased that the town council, I think, I'm pretty sure they did, are staying with our recommendations this year. So,
That's very good.
because no one's ever really tried to,
Right.
oh, we're going to take money away from this, no matter how many years you've had that.
Upset the apple cart.
And we've had so many more people come forward, you have that set bucket.
Yeah.
So,
They can only go so far. That's
Right.
the hard
Exactly.
thing. But boy, and you do have a really nice group. Like when I've
Yes.
watched and observed, I mean, it's a great working team, which I think is you hope for with every group, right? You know, which is
Kirsten
wonderful.
and Tim are phenomenal.
Yeah, I have to
with-
agree.
with their
yeah, they-
numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely financial people. I can budget my checkbook and pay my bills, and I think I can put in a good amount of views on how things should be spent. I'm kind of on the conservative side.
Okay.
You know, so, but it's a very interesting process. I enjoy it. And also during my 3-year term I've been on, at least the last 2 years, I've been also on the CIP planning board.
Yeah.
And that's where we rank all of the big ticket projects that are placed in front of the board to rank them.
Very
You know, so.
Very important.
That's-
And
yeah,
even with
that's
preparation of the
interesting.
ballot now too, like being an informed voter, but having on our ballot what the budget committee, what all of you have decided. If it's a 5, you know, a 0 to 5, or if it's in support of something, it influences me. It really does. Because
Yeah,
I know that there
definitely.
are the people are very involved and have that financial wisdom about our town. And if I'm not sure, that's how I make many of my decisions. You
Yeah.
look at them, and
Yeah.
also how
What
the
their
council
recommendations
votes.
are.
Right,
'Cause I know
right.
you're representing me and trying to do what's best for our community, and you know, with the
Right.
council and also the budget committee. It's pretty powerful seeing that there. You
Yeah,
know? and
that's a big
and nice
thing.
to know that you had such a part in it. You know.
Yep.
But yeah.
I mean, there's some things I would like to see lower priced, but we are just we're an advisory board.
Right.
You know, we can't tell the town or the school, no, you can't have that much money, or how they can spend it. You know, we
Right.
just give advice, and then when the warrant articles come up, we do our research, and you know, and you're right. A lot of people in town look at how the town and the school and the budget.
Right, I'm
have-
forgetting about the
have
school,
all,
right,
Right.
absolutely, because I
Forward.
value their opinion
Yeah.
too,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
very
it's- yeah.
interesting. That's a good part. I've noticed that
Yes.
before on the
Right.
ballot
Yes,
when
it's very-
they
yeah.
forward their, you know, that's a good
It's
thing.
a huge
In
help.
Atkinson,
Yeah.
We have that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how they're doing that extra sentence that they've added to the warrant articles this year. You know, where it talks about, you know, if it's this much this year and what it was last year.
Yes,
and
it does, just
Oh,
helps
it-
the
oh,
voters
it
be
helps
little
clarify
more
a little
informed.
bit.
It really does.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it
know,
is,
so.
but very powerful, you know, it's a great, an incredible committee board that people really don't have a clear understanding of often, you know. And then, so you've served one term, and this
term.
will be your second term.
I'm hoping.
Yes.
Please vote for me. Though it'll be
Yeah.
hard to be outvoted by that cute little doggy.
Oh,
But I did tell Chad that if I lose to him, it would be well worth it. I mean, he is smart, and his dog is just absolutely
Oh, I know.
lovable.
The
Yeah.
dog
Judy.
is so-
Judy.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so in fact, he and I are going to try and get together and go door to door. You know,
I
so.
think that's
Oh, that's
phenomenal.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. You know, it's a lot of, coming on new brings a lot of opportunity, but also like the experience. You need to have that experience when so
Yeah.
many good things are happening. You want to maintain it,
Right.
you know. And,
Again, have that continuity.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
important. It really is. You know, unless there's a problem or something's going wrong. But I mean, it's really such a great group. I can't say it enough. But yeah, any other questions or?
Now, how many are on that?
7.
There's 7, and there's 3 running this time?
I
or-
do
or
believe
it
there
4?
is one-year term
Gets a little
because a person
confusing.
is
Okay. Yeah.
finishing up someone else's term because the other person moved out of town. And then there are 2 3-year positions, which I do believe there are
That's-
3 people running for
There are
that.
Yes.
3 exactly.
Three people.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
2 running
3-year.
for the 1 year.
2 for
Correct.
the 1 year.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little confusing. Like even
Yeah,
preparing
it
the ballot,
is,
but
yeah.
you have to be so careful with that. 1 year, but then 2 for the 3 year.
Right, and typically your terms are 3 years.
Yes.
It's just
Good
sometimes you
point,
have the
Christine, right.
oddball where someone has to leave or something happens.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's
so.
where the 1-year term
Yeah.
comes in? Is that
Or
how
even
they
a
do it?
2-year term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it could be a 2 year. You're right.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
right,
It just,
too.
it's to cover, the town council will appoint someone to finish off somebody's year until election time.
Right.
And then during election time, whatever is left of that person's term, they'll put the position on the ballot.
Oh. All right, well, now we're at the point that we're going to get you
Fast.
down to the last minute
Okay.
mark, and you can tell us what you want to say in 1 minute.
In 1 minute.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Pressure.
Please vote for me. I am eagerly looking forward to running another term and get more experience with the finances under my belt before I run for town council. And I'm looking forward to doing the best I can and have another good financial, responsible 3 years. And thank you.
We thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
So-
for coming on.
Hi, everyone. We're back with our next candidate. It is Mac Leatherby, and he is running for the library trustees. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm a big advocate of the Londonderry Leach Library and have written a lot of articles over the past few months about them. Some of the events that they have there are just outstanding, and I've been working with Jennifer over there, who's the children's librarian, on some of the children's events. I raise ducks and geese. I live next door to Max Apples. And they had a really good program last month on geese and ducks and about fine feathered friends, and things in the winter. And while I've got that on a roll, I want to give a shout out to Barbara Ostertag Holtkamp, who's the head librarian.
That's wonderful.
There was, last month, you probably know, there was a huge flood.
Yes.
And
We heard
the
about
quick
that.
thinking and the quick action of the staff and the head librarian in Barbara saved the library. And I'm not exaggerating. That whole thing could have gone down. If that would have happened at the wrong time of day, the whole library would have been flooded.
You're absolutely
And so thank you for that. I was like, I followed that up, wrote a good story about it and things, because to me that's an important thing in the community for people to know. It's an outstanding resource. I've lived here now in Londonderry for about 22 years, and before that I lived in Derry and things, so I know the area well, but before that I lived in Colorado. And my thing is always to go to the library first. So when I landed here in New Hampshire, I went right to the McGregor Library and kind of scoped that out and things. And you know, in fact, I'm working. They have a poetry contest and things. I want to write one of the poets. Robert Frost is one of my principals. When I was in 3rd grade, I still remember my teacher saying, "Mac, will you read a Robert Frost poem?" And I still remember that was a highlight of 3rd grade. So, but you know, I mean, you know, we're Derry and Londonderry, and I'm kind of a history buff. You may have noticed if you've been reading Londonderry Times, I've been writing a series about the Nutfield 300. The history of this area is just incredible. We've got so many things going on this year. And of course, I wrote one story about the separation of Londonderry and Derry, how it evolved. And there used to be big rocks that divided, and they would push the rocks at night to try and change the boundaries and things.
Oh, wow.
Lots of neat
It's a
things.
very good story.
So I'm really active in a lot of community events. I like to promote projects in the school. So I have a 9-year-old over at Matthew Thornton, and she's in the drama club play that's coming out in a couple weeks and things. She's got one of the lead roles, although not too many words, she's playing one of the lead characters, but the younger one and things. And so it's fun though, but she's a good actress. She's been in a lot of things. But I like all the projects. I go over to the South School and the North School and check out various communication type of things. I have a background in communications. That's one of my degrees. I've got 12 years of college, including a degree in communications and arts. And the situation is that I have supported the 4-H Club, did a really nice article on them. They need a little more push. Awareness.
That is true.
Is one of the reasons I'm telling you, Sherry, that the library needs more awareness. I've had people come to me and say, "Mac, you know, I see some of your articles, but I don't hear that much going on with the library." And I'm like going, "You don't know. We need to get the word out.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely
what I
right.
can do. That's what I will do." In fact, I was just talking to Drew. I'm very excited because one of the things I want to advocate is that we need to stream some of the events. I missed last week, they had a woman that is an incredible actress that did Martha Washington and talked about the days of the Revolutionary War and things, which is a wonderful event. Now, I couldn't get there, but neither can some of our seniors and neither can some of the kids. I want that taped. I mean, they've got a great facility here,
Right.
and I was giving Drew a hard time because I want to see the quality go up a notch, and he said, "Mac, you're right on schedule. We're doing it this
They are,
summer and
that's
things," so I was
right.
excited about that.
That's a good thing.
So I write for 3 different newspapers here in southern New Hampshire. I'm writing a couple books. In fact, I probably bored Sherry when I was when I registered to run for this particular office or this appointment and things. I was telling her about I'm writing a book that's called "The Cat That Discovered America." And it's based on history. It's about a cat that lived with Leif Erikson and Eric the Red, and the original source of Maine Coon cats. I'm an animal behaviorist and very much love different animals and things. So I'm writing about that, and it's part of a series of historical books. I've got one of the books outlined that I'm going to have the cats charging up the hill with the Rough Riders and Teddy Roosevelt, who's one of my hero presidents. That'll be a cool one.
I can picture it when you're saying it. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
So I'm a successful real estate agent. I work for Keller Williams in Bedford and in Londonderry. I've got a lot of background behind me in multimedia. My 12 years of college, I've got also a background in multimedia production and music engineering and things. So I have co-patents. I'm one of the co-patent holders of the first digital audio video multimedia workstation, the first computers that were used to develop movies and things. And in that role, I was able to have projects working with such people as the BBC and the NHK television in Japan. And I was the liaison with George Lucas, and I worked on the first Jurassic Park movie, which I've got some great stories, and we won't have time, but I can tell you some really interesting things. All I can say is they shot a lot of that movie in both computer technology, graphics, and with puppets. A man by the name of Stan Winston, who's an Oscar winner. A lot of the movies that we've seen, they used a lot of his puppets and things. He just passed away last year is why I'm remembering him, but what an incredible person. But I have this type of thing, and I want to bring some of this to the library. We want to not only have, the library's got a good start. We've got ebooks there, we've got CDs, we've got various multimedia, but I think it can be taken up another notch in terms of some of the technology. I worked for 12 years for Avaya Communications, which is a spin-off of Bell Labs and AT&T. So I'm a bit of a geek, I'll have to admit, but I'm also, a geek writer and a geek reader. I've read about 10 books this month. Some of them, though, I'll have to admit, were on Audible. So I listen to them at night until I fall asleep. I've been reading, I told you I'm writing this one book about cats, and I've been reading the Chronicles of Loki, who is one of the Norse gods, and it's so interesting. But anyway. So I have a 9-year-old that I want to, one of the first things she did when we moved to Londonderry and things, and when she got old enough and things, we brought her over to the library, and so she's over there and, got to do more events and things, and she likes it. And I'm married to a woman who I met in my projects when I invented or have a co-patent on this digital audio video workstation. They sent me over to Russia. And so I had to show the top film production people and the top broadcasters this technology. And I met my wife at the time there and things. So my daughter's name is Anastasia, which is, to me, that's a romantic, that's a writer name. It's a librarian name, if you ask me. Anyway, my strategic plan is that I want to support, the current programming that we have, and I want to take it up a notch. I think they do a wonderful job. I think there's more things there that meet the eye, and people need to be aware of it. My background at Avaya, I was the head of a $2 billion portfolio of products and services, and so I had to handle the budget. I understand, the big numbers and the little numbers, and what you need to do to balance, a spreadsheet and things. And the situation that I also learned, from that is that you have to create a marketing campaign that starts first with awareness. And we've got some awareness. People know the library's here, but they don't know what an asset it is. And like I say, I want to bring more of this to the seniors who can't get to the library, and more of it to some of the kids that maybe can't make it for the day, and more of it to me. There's my own selfish thing. I love some of the events they're doing. So anyway, I'm on a roll here.
That's great,
Anything
though.
that you've got, any questions for me or
I
anything?
love the idea of having those events on our cable channels so that
Yeah.
we could watch them, because I would,
Yeah.
if I can't make it, I would watch it at home. I watch our
I know
channels
you,
too.
you and me.
You and I, Bonnie, we're the ones that love our cable TV.
Well-
and Derry and Londonderry, we
Yeah.
really do. We
Yeah.
just
That's right.
love them.
And what makes it good too is because when they do events in the evening, seniors won't go out and
That's a
drive.
very
That's right.
good
Yeah,
point.
they
That's-
don't
So,
drive.
yeah.
anymore.
If
That's-
it's something that's on the
Yeah.
cable channel.
I think we can connect with them. Drew was telling me that they're going to run fiber over there. Part of the thing is we're about to go through a revolution, and I won't bore you with all the geek terms, but there's this thing called 5G that's coming this year, and that's going to essentially replace the common coax internet. Now, it'll take a couple of years, but the technology is already starting to be rolled out. And what that means is the Internet of Things is going to be more viable. You'll be able to pick up things, and there won't be this you're cutting out, and there's latency. There's like a time delay and all of that. That all's going to go away. It's going to be an amazing thing. So for multimedia, for broadcasting and things, from the library and things,
Yeah.
and showing some of these events and doing that type of thing will be really useful. Also, I feel some of the ebook and they've got access to Kindle and things. I think that there's some ways that we can make that easier. And again, I think most people don't even know about it. And I read, quite frankly, more Kindle books than I read hard
That's-
books these days.
Yeah.
I've got over 250 on my Kindle.
Oh my goodness.
Books, yeah,
Wow.
over the past few years.
You got to go Audible though. It's so cool because when I'm doing dishes in the kitchen and things like that, or preparing dinner, and I'm a cook. I'm writing some cookbooks too, by the way. And
You've gotta come back
I know. I like Mediterranean diet. That's a big thing, and so I've been making my own pizzas, and I've got all these different things. But I listen to the books when I'm cooking and things, and it's a way that you can kind of multitask, still stay kind of function. In fact, I listen to the cookbooks even and things too.
Yeah, that is a great
That
idea.
really is, boy.
So I think that we've got a great resource, and I think that there's some more things that we can do for some events. The dairy thing of having a poetry contest and things I think is good, and I think there's some things like
Right,
that
that
we
is
can
a
bring
nice
to
idea.
Londonderry.
That is a good
And
thing.
Barbara would be open to all of those.
Oh,
things.
she's
Yes.
wonderful.
Oh, she's like
Yeah.
a sponge.
And
She loves-
about 2 weeks ago when the flood happened, I called her up, and they also had a difficulty because their phone system didn't have a 911 connection, and they had a
Yeah,
person.
Senior center, we had the same
at the
issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and quite frankly, being from the communications network and the geek that I am, I told her what she needed to do to fix it. I said, you called John Farrell and you get the town going and stuff, and she did. And they got it going right away. But that has to happen. We have to have some of these technology things that are
Right.
connected for communications
Yeah.
and things. So, like I say, I'm kind of already an advocate, and I think you should vote for me, and I think you'll see I can do some good things. But even if you don't vote for me, I'm still going to be there helping the library, and I think I can help them even more.
And that's a nice attitude.
Oh, it's-
It's
it's the right
Definitely
thing.
is. Yeah.
We have a tremendous community in Londonderry.
Yeah.
And like I say, with the Netfield 300, we have a ton of people coming over from Ireland. I've been working, with the various committees.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a real interesting thing historically, and the genealogy, which our library has got some connections to, but I bet there'll be some things that will get further updated in things from some of those visits. Because they started the actual migration in 1718 with Father McGregor, who was considered the Moses of the Irish because he led the migrations. And they came here first. I mean, of course it was Londonderry was Nutfield first, but, and then Londonderry and things. But there's going to be a lot of people here, and the library is one of the places I bet some of them are going to stop it. And we want them to stop it. We should have some events planned for it.
That's a good,
So
that's
some,
a good
some
thing.
more questions, or am I?
Oh, it's so
I'm talking
interesting.
fast.
No, it's interesting.
No,
it's
exciting,
interesting.
and
It's
your
very
energy.
interesting.
No, I mean, it's wonderful.
Oh,
It
thanks,
really
Sherry.
is. No, my gosh, lots
But-
of great ideas and.
But we are at that point that we have to give us a little wrap up.
Okay. Well, the wrap up that I'd like to say is if you're looking to make the library at your fingertips, that's what I'm here to do. I want you to be able to access it, and I want you to be able to have the ability to have learning events as well as entertainment events and things that are going to bring from the youngest kids into the idea of reading to some of our adults, into certain adult programs that we have over there, to our seniors who could, by streaming, as I was telling you, and there will be, Drew said that that's going to get set up and things. We want to formalize that so we can include everybody into all of the good things that our library has to offer.
Very
so that
good.
everyone's welcome to know. Everyone is so welcome to know, but making sure it's accessible to everyone.
That's a good
that
thing.
That really is.
Now, don't get me started, but I have 8 cats and 22 ducks. I've got a half-acre pond and geese. I want it accessible so that, even my animals can share some of the good stories or
There
the
you go.
information and things.
An off-site for the Londonderry.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I'm right next door to Max Apples. In
Yeah.
fact, if you go over to the ice cream place and things, I'm very close by, behind him and things. So, but love Londonderry. Vote for Mac. That's what I have
There
to
you
say
go.
to you. Thank you so much,
you.
people.
All right, and thank you for coming
so
on.
much.
Hi, everyone. We are back with Paul Skidlaric. He is running for the town council. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Happy to
Thank
be
you
here.
for being with
Thank you
us.
for having me. Appreciate
This
it.
is great.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and if we have any questions, we'll ask you.
Sure. Well, again, my name is Paul Skidlaric. I'm running for town council. I'm an 18-year resident of Londonderry. We moved here back in 2001. My wife and I, we had at the time a child who was 7 years old, I think it was. And we also had a 1-year-old. And as we got into town, we just loved the town. We'd actually lived in Hudson, New Hampshire prior to that for 10 years. And I'd always heard, we had a couple of friends that had moved to Londonderry and always heard about the great schools, and we always loved the town, going to the apple orchards and just enjoying the sights of the town. And as we kind of outgrew a townhouse that we were in, we decided to look for a house. It was a good time to buy because the market had crashed, And we had done okay on our townhouse. We were in good shape there, and there was an opportunity for us to kind of come to Londonderry. We found a great home, and we've been here ever since. So we started again. I've got two boys now. One's 28, the other's 22. They're my 22-year-old's finishing college in May, and my wife and I have a little bit more time. I certainly have a little bit more time to get more involved in the town, and a lot of my activity in the town was centered around sports. My two boys both played basketball and baseball, youth sports, and I coached them for I probably had 15 or 16 years of coaching in town, both sports, threw a lot of baseball pitches, my shoulders feeling it even as of today, and but just really enjoyed our time here. I think what brings me to town council is just I see it as an opportunity for me to get more involved with the town, to serve the community in a little different capacity than I have in the past. I've always had a real passion for politics on the state level, and I've been active for the past 10 years, at the state level in various campaigns around the state, and have an interest in politics, and certainly want to make sure that I contribute in any way that I can. That's what brings me here today.
Very good.
So.
It's a wonderful.
Yeah, and I think for me too, I think it's important in a town that you have some turnover. I know John. John's done a terrific job. I know Tom Dolan a little bit. I certainly know Deb Paul in terms of her tenure with the newspaper. I think she's done an excellent job with a small newspaper that she's had in a very difficult news environment in terms of trying to create revenue. But I think it's important to encourage other people to be involved, and I think every town has its challenges in terms of trying to get enough people to fill positions, whether it's on the budget committee, the school committee, any real town positions. And I think one way in which you encourage more people is to just make sure that that these positions are filled by new people with new ideas that can bring a different kind of energy and a different look at certain issues within the town. I don't want to just keep going on and on, but
That's good.
it's a town that has, I think, a tremendous amount going for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see just incredible potential at the Pettingill Road now that that's been opened up and it's got access to the
Hard to
highway.
believe that we can go up there now.
Yeah.
We
It's
used
incredible.
To go around.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Every time I go over that bridge onto the highway, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much. It's so much easier to get to Merrimack and other places I need to get to. Like we all need to get to, but you look at that and the Woodmont Commons development, and there's just a tremendous amount going on in town. I've worked for a company for, I'm now 33 years with the company I'm currently with, which is somewhat unheard of today to be able to have that kind of tenure. But I've been very fortunate to work for a company. It's a Chicago-based company that gets involved in, we manufacture construction products. And I actually have a couple of customers, larger customers of mine are actually in town as well, and know a lot of people from the contractor side of things and construction. So I've got some experience on the construction side of things too that I think I can bring a certain different element to all the development that's going on within town, and hope to bring that to bear in terms of my candidacy, and if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, to be part of that situation as well. So,
Sounds
What's
good.
really nice about this is I know you in one part, like, and you talk about the coach, but it's nice because we're hearing about other people, what they do and what brought you here and how long you've been in town. It's exciting for us to really learn so much about all of the candidates,
Right.
you know, and the passion that's out there for the community too.
for sure.
Yeah, it seems like all the candidates that have come through really have a passion for the town.
Yes, I have
And
to
for
agree.
being able to
Yeah,
give back and-
absolutely.
Yeah.
So many good
Yeah.
people, which is
Yeah, there are a lot of great
Yeah,
people in
there
town,
really are.
and
Yeah.
I think as as people want to get involved in various positions within town, it takes some effort. It takes some you've got to want to kind of put yourself out there a little
Yeah.
bit.
Right.
And I'm at a point in my life where I just feel it's really important to be as involved as I can be. And there's a lot swirling around in our society today, and it's a difficult political environment. And I don't come at this job with any particular agenda. I'm not looking to go at anybody. As I said, I think the people that have these jobs, I give them a lot of credit because these are, there's not a lot of, you're not getting a lot of accolades typically. You're more getting, the problems, and you're trying to work your way through it.
Solve them.
Yeah.
But you have to be, willing to. I think I'm someone that's fairly even-tempered in terms of the way I approach things, and I try to take a reasoned, fact-based approach to the way I take on any kind of a problem. And again, I'm looking forward to interacting with new people and whomever might be present in the other positions that are around me. And so I look forward to that and the opportunity. I really do.
That's very good.
Yeah. So, do you ladies have any questions for me at all? or?
No,
No, so town council was the only position that you considered?
No, I thought about the budget committee. I've thought about a lot of different positions. I was asked, if I would consider the position. I've thought about it a couple of times. As I said, I've run for I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I've run for state rep twice in the past. And because I've seen in town, there's been a bit of a monopoly. A certain small group of people have had those positions for a long period of time. And I think it's important, particularly at the state level, given the fact that this town does not have wards, that we have to find ways to kind of break up these kind of smaller coalitions and smaller cliques that become somewhat ingrained in the town. And if you don't have some turnover happening, I just think you get kind of people getting a little discouraged in terms of their, who they see in those positions and whether or not their particular ideas and whether you got a breadth of different ideas becoming part of the mix rather than a certain small group of individuals, kind of deciding, and making policy where you've got a full range of people with various ideas, I think need to be brought to bear. So I ran twice. I was unsuccessful 2 times, but I've gotten closer. My wife, Robin, also ran a couple of times. She's also gotten, much closer to a position. But, as we'll see what happens in the next, that next cycle. But for now, I thought this was a good way for me to find a way to get further involved in the town and bring whatever experience I have to bear on some of the positions here. So.
Yeah.
But I thought about budget. I thought about, I know there's a variety of different ways you can serve, and this is one that I thought was one where I think my particular skill set, coming from a management background, I thought was one that I could be successful at in town.
Yeah.
So here I am.
Here you are.
on the Londonderry View.
That's right, on Londonderry View.
We appreciate it.
Well, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm looking forward if people see this, or I'm sure many people will. I'm just looking forward to talking to people if they have any questions for me about my attitude towards the town or some of the things that I'd like to see get done. I'm more than happy to have those discussions, and I encourage people there to vote for me if they would for town council.
Now, is there a way for them to get in touch with you if they have questions?
Yeah, I probably, I'm going to form a little website. I know we've only got a couple of weeks left before the vote, but they can certainly contact me via, I've got an email account. It's pskud@comcast.net. They can reach out to me that way. I'd rather not call my cell because my business kind of cell phone. But they can certainly call my home too, which is 603-437-9545. and I'm happy to take anybody's call. But if you reach out to me via email and leave a the phone number or a way for me to contact you, or I've also got a Twitter account which is just at I think it's at PScud or something like that, and they can certainly reach out to me that way as well if they're on Twitter. So
Very good.
Good.
yeah,
Sounds good.
Phenomenal.
good.
And then we
Sounds
really
good.
hope, with another goal that we have too, is to make sure that voters come out on March 12th. Remember, we're opening at 6 a.m.
Oh, that's
and
right.
until 8 p.m. So please, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, your family, come and get registered to vote, and then also please come out and vote, because every vote counts.
It definitely
really
does.
I think it was
There's-
terrific that the hours were extended. Now it's 6 a.m. to start, I
Yes,
believe,
6
right?
a.m., yes.
Which
Yeah.
I'm all for anything that allows more people to get there.
Take-
I'm
Right, on their way
Sure,
to
because-
work in the morning.
no
Yeah.
question about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people do work out of town.
They really
And
do.
they
Yeah.
leave very early in the morning
Right.
and they don't get back into town till later.
I've got a good friend of mine who works, he's a union laborer, he works in Boston, and he leaves his house, I think, at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So,
That's,
so I think
you
if,
know,
not that the 6 o'clock's going to help him, but
But-
I think any ways in which we can make it
Make it a
easier
little
for
more
people to get to the
bearable.
poll,
Yeah.
I think it's important, because we don't have enough people showing up for any elections, let alone, some of the town
Oh, the
elections, the
town
participation rate's
elections.
not quite
yeah.
what
I
it
think
what
you
it should
find
be.
that in every town.
You really do,
Yeah.
you really do.
So
So-
our goal, we've got to get 4,000 voters out there this time. From
There you
the
go.
2,000 with the snowstorm last year, we've had close to 3, but we should be able to get that 25% more, I think. Would be,
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I
wouldn't
think
that
we
be
can get
great?
Just
you know?
let's hope it's a
Yeah.
wonderful day that
Oh,
we can
there's
get
no
everybody
snow.
out.
Yeah.
That's it, no
No
snow.
snow,
Right.
no snowstorms.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, so it's
Yeah.
be interesting to see,
Yeah,
what'll
Yeah.
happen
For
with
sure.
it,
Makes
but-
a difference.
yeah.
no question
The
about it.
weather definitely,
Oh,
especially
it
for
does,
seniors.
yes.
It
Yeah.
definitely
It
makes a
does,
difference.
Yeah, we did
They
not have-
need to
Yeah, right.
be able to get out, and a lot of
they'll-
them don't get out in the
Yeah.
bad weather. They really don't.
Well, November too, if you remember, the voting in November was, that was a rough night. That was
Yeah,
really-
so I mean,
it was
it's
pretty miserable.
crazy.
It was a rainy, cold night. It
Yeah.
was not too pleasant.
Yeah,
So hopefully we'll have something a little nicer than that.
Oh, especially
Yeah.
for
On
the
the 12th.
candidates standing out there, because
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people, unless you've done it or been
Right.
involved, you really, you can't understand what it takes to be a candidate.
Right.
And you're out there from the opening of the polls until the
Yeah.
end, and hoping you can shake a hand or influence someone as they're walking, and it's a lot, and then the preparation
It is, yeah.
before,
It's a long
so
day.
our hats go off to all of you that are
Yeah.
running, because
Right.
it is.
It's a big commitment.
It's a big
commitment
commitment.
and
Mhm. It
undertaking.
is a big-
For sure.
So we thank you very much.
Well,
Paul.
and I thank you for having me. It's
Thank
really been
you.
a lot of fun. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
coming on.
okay.
Thank you so
And,
much.
And Paul, if
And
you want, you have a
You
little time, Paul?
Yep, you have a little time
Yeah.
left to kind
And
of
I'm
give us a
talking over
little
there, right?
closing. Right. Yep, to give a
Do a
little
little
closing.
closing.
Well, again, I just, as I mentioned, I've got a background in management. I'm passionate about, small d democratic values, participatory democracy. I think it's important that people get involved in their community, as I've been in my community, and I know you ladies have as well, and so many people have. And I just ask that, people looking at the candidates, that they consider me. I know I'm more or less the outsider. I think I'm probably the least well-known of the four that are running. But I think there's a different energy that I bring to bear, and I hope that you'll consider my candidacy, and I hope you come out March 12th and vote for Paul Skidlarek for town councilor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Thank
coming
you
on.
for
This was
coming on.
wonderful.